Hello, everybody. Joe Ringen here. I'm an author. I wrote a book. It's a fantasy book called The Ballad of Ages. But I also read a lot of books, and I like to give book reviews and my thoughts on the books that I read. That's what I'm doing here today. I like to find some books that maybe you don't know about or probably would have never read, and hopefully I can inspire everyone out there to read more books, even obscure ones, because there's a lot of YouTubers out there that inspire me to do the same. So today I got a fun one. This is fresh off my kick of finding movie novelizations. I found that this is actually really enjoyable. They don't make a lot of movie novelizations anymore. At least I don't see new ones. Maybe because there's so many. They go direct to streaming and stuff like that. But it's kind of a lost art. But I found a lot of cool ones. If you've seen my Batman novelization review, you know what I'm talking about. But so this is another awesome one that I came upon at half price books, probably. Yeah. So a used bookstore for sure. And it caught my attention because I was right when I was looking for movie novelizations, and this one was like perfect because it's sci-fi, right in my wheelhouse. An amazing movie, by the way, 1990. Just a great era of sci-fi and fantasy. But this is, yeah, awesome movie. So it called to me. It's like, Joe, you got to buy this. And I did. And then the coolest thing, when I pulled this book off the shelf, when I saw Total Recall, I like stopped in my tracks. I'm like, what in the world? This book is written by Piers Anthony. Oh, man. So, yeah, if you can hear my dog barking, uh, he likes to bark, but he'll slow down. Anyway, so yeah, so I was like, oh, this book is written by Piers Anthony, and I have a love hate relationship with Piers Anthony. If you've watched my other reviews of his stuff, great writer, great author, very imaginative, super weird dude. He writes some weird stuff. Um, so all I'm going to be completely 1,000% honest with all of you. When I bought this book, I bought it with the sole intention of just like expecting just hot garbage. Like I I was kind of looking for that book where I'm like, this is gonna be the weirdest reading experience of my life. That's what I fully expected with this. I mean, I love the movie. It's a classic. I've seen it multiple times, and I encourage all of you if you like sci-fi to watch it. And I like Piers Anthony, like I said, but I just could not see any world in which Piers Anthony wrote a movie novelization about a movie or from a movie that, it's like big action, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sharon Stone, that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is going to be a mess. And it wasn't. That's what's so awesome. I love this book. It's blew my mind. I enjoyed every single second of this book. And I'll get into a little bit more why here in a second. But I think Piers Anthony, like, he writes a lot of fantasy and goofy fantasy. So I kind of didn't see him fitting well with capturing this movie into words. But he does write some sci-fi. I just haven't gotten into his sci-fi stuff, so maybe if I had, it wouldn't have felt so weird. But but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that I really love this movie or this book. I love the movie too, but the book. And one thing, and maybe this is why, is if you don't know, so Total Recall, it's an adaptation, but super expanded upon. But it's an adaptation of a Philip K. Dick novella, short story called what is it called? We will remember. We will remember it for you wholesale. I think that's what it's. I actually read it right before reading this book. It's like 20 pages, so it takes like not long. It's really good. It's a very good short story, and so that kind of sets it up. It's like a it's like a underhand softball pitch, slow pitch, and ready for Piers Anthony and whoever wrote this movie screenplay to just knock it out of the park, and they did, both of them. It's amazing how good this story of Total Recall is. Um, I mean, honestly, like if you strip away the visuals of the movie, the actors, it's a great story. Like it's a really good sci-fi story, and that's what Piers Anthony is able to portray and translate into this book. That's what was so impressive to me is that you do not have to watch this movie. You could you could just read this Piers Anthony version of the movie, this book, and it would be like incredible. It'd be like a Hugo winning sci-fi novel. It's that good. So I'm not giving Piers Anthony all the credit for the greatness of the story because whoever wrote the screenplay, or I guess his name's right on the book cover, but that dude deserves a ton of credit because the Philip K. Dick short story is great. Obviously, Philip K. Dick is a genius of sci-fi, but there's more stuff, and it's so good, so much better. Like twists and turns, great characters, just great ideas. It's almost like Dune in the sense where it's like a large scale view of society, how economics affect the world, how economics could affect life on Mars is kind of what happens in this book. I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds, but it's a very realistic scenario. You got the greedy dude who runs a big corporation who's making decisions that harm all the common people, the middle class and low class. They suffer, and they don't have to. They could, if the guy at the top running the show wasn't so greedy, then everyone would be healthy, happy, prosperous. But of course, if he did that, he wouldn't be filthy rich. So it's the story of humanity, really. But it's fun because it's on Mars. So there's a little bit more like imaginative things going on. So there's that. It's just a phenomenal story. On top of that, there's like another plot. I don't know which one's the main plot, to be honest, but all the twists and turns of what's real, what's not, who am I, am I this person, am I this person, and if you've seen it and read it, you know what I'm talking about. I'll give a very short explanation of that. So the main character, Dennis Quaid, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie, he man, it's gonna be tough not to spoil it. So yeah, I won't say too much. But basically, there's this company, Total Recall or Recall Inc. or something, and it can, if you can't afford to go on these like luxurious vacations, you can have memories implanted in your brain that make you think you went on these vacations or trips or whatever, and so it's a much cheaper version of getting that experience, even though you don't actually experience it, but you kind of trick yourself into thinking you do. So that's Total Recall. But when the main character does this, he goes down a trail of, I can't say too much without spoiling it. But he goes on a path where he doesn't quite know who he is, what is memory, what's real. That's all I'll say. But it's amazing. It really is amazing. There's a lot of twists and turns. It makes you think about your own memories, and you get convinced, like, oh yeah, Dennis is actually the other version. But then it's like, no, he's actually this version. And then you throw the other twist, or the other like philosophical dilemma. Can you choose to be the other person if you like the other version better? So there's these really cool themes and like struggles you think about if you were in that position, what would you do? On top of really cool scenery, fight scenes, um, yeah, it's just a fun book and a fun movie. So really enjoyable. It's a quick read. It's like pretty thin. It's a short read. Took me about 4 hours. I read half of it while waiting for my car at the Toyota um, service place, just the routine maintenance. Just sitting in the lounge, drinking free coffee. I read half this book. Like it's quick, right? But you don't. It's that's the other amazing thing. I've seen this movie probably 5 times, and when I read this book, I still like wanted to keep turning the page. I'm like, what happened? Like I know what happens, but I want to see how it goes from in the book version. I couldn't for the life of me find anything extra like in the book. That's one of the cool things about um, movie novelizations is sometimes there's sort of like supplemented material. I didn't pick up on that in the book, which is kind of a bummer. That's one of the cool things about novelizations I've been finding. But there might have been. I just haven't seen this movie in a while to remember really. Um, I know there's a new version of the movie. I almost watched it, but I didn't because you had to pay for it on Amazon. I've heard it's not great. I don't know. I'll probably still watch it, but it's like whatever. I'm getting off track again. But so this was great. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to touch on is I gained a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Appreciation for Piers Anthony. His skill got higher in my opinion from this, not only because it's a great book, but his professionalism came through in this book, because he does a lot of tips of the cap to Philip K. Dick, and that was really fun to see or to read because I read the short story right before reading this, and he gives a lot of nods to him. It's fun. I'll just let you guys read it and figure it out. But even from things like in the Philip K. Dick novel, he references a lot the manager owner of the Total Recall business. He sits behind his giant walnut desk when he's talking to Dennis Quaid, and he references that over and over for some reason. And Piers Anthony says that in the book. Like it's kind of a throwaway. Does it matter? No, but he references it, tips the cap, because it's just a really cool thing. So that shows me Piers is, even if he's kind of strange, um, he's a professional and he's good at his craft. So I gained some appreciation from that. So yeah, Total Recall. This was or is currently the best movie novelization I've ever read, and that blew my mind. I was expecting the complete opposite. So it goes to show for all of you guys, when you go to like a used bookstore, if you see something funky on the bookshelf and it's like 50 cents, and even maybe a kind of bit interested, pick it up, man. It might surprise you like this one. So I gave it 8 out of 10. Um, the things, the reason it wasn't a 10 out of 10, because it didn't really add to it, to the story. Like I like those little Easter eggs or additional information that a lot of movie novellas have, movie novelizations have. It didn't do that. So if it did, man, this would be like a perfect, I think. But either way, it's super good. Like I said, you could read this without seeing the movie, and it would be a great reading experience because it's a great story and it's portrayed very well. It's translated very well from screenplay to novel form. Super good. Very quick paced and just a fun read. Quick read. So yeah, I'm gonna continue looking for just strange, goofy movie novelizations I see on used bookshelves. I may or may not have found the Alien novelization, so I'm gonna do that, and then probably rewatch the movies, maybe watch the new show. I think that one's actually gonna be really good because it's Alan Dean Foster, and he's a great sci-fi writer. So yeah, you find all these cool things, man. Yeah. So that's all for today. Total Recall, awesome movie, awesome. The 1990 version, awesome at least. I haven't seen the new one. The book, awesome as well. Pick it up, enjoy it. You guys have a great rest of your day. We'll talk next time.